In a small apartment tucked away on a bustling Brooklyn street, Maya Thompson, a Black American woman with warm eyes and a resilient smile, had devoted 3 years to her white American husband, Ethan Carter. Their marriage wasn't a fairy tale with lavish vacations or candlelit dinners. Instead, it was a journey filled with challenges where unpaid bills piled up on the kitchen table, debt collection calls came from the bank, and sleepless nights filled with money worries became inseparable. But with her big heart and unwavering faith, Maya always held Ethan's hand tightly through those dark days. She believed that their love, though tested by poverty, would one day lead them to a brighter future. Every morning, Maya woke up early, brewed coffee in an old kettle, and made a simple breakfast, usually toast and eggs for them. She would look at Ethan with his tousled blonde hair, ambitious blue eyes, and smile. "One day, you're going to do something big. I just know it." She would often say, her tone both encouraging and gentle. Ethan would take her hand and whisper a promise that he would give her a better life, a life where she wouldn't have to worry about rent or groceries. Those moments, though small, were the sparks that kept Maya's heart warm and her hope alive. But their life wasn't just about sweet promises. There were days when Maya had to take night shifts at a convenience store, her legs aching after hours behind the counter. Ethan, a passionate but struggling salesman, often came home with a defeated look after yet another failed pitch. They had argued and cried, but through it all, they always found their way back to each other, holding one another in that tiny room, and reminding themselves that as long as they had love, they could overcome anything. With her smooth brown skin and voluminous curls, Maya was always Ethan's emotional anchor. She believed that one day, fate would finally smile upon them. And then, on a fateful morning, as the first light of day slipped through their thin curtains, a luxurious envelope arrived at their apartment. Maya, cleaning the kitchen, saw Ethan open it with trembling hands. Inside was a major Manhattan Corporation letter, inviting Ethan to attend a prestigious business conference at the Plaza Hotel, an opportunity any entrepreneur would dream of. Ethan's blue eyes lit up, as if the world had just opened before him. "Maya, this is it," he exclaimed excitedly. "This is the chance we've been waiting for. If I do well, we won't have to worry anymore. A new house, a new car, everything we've dreamed of." Maya felt the fire of ambition in Ethan's voice, and her heart swelled excitedly. She ran to hug him, feeling the warmth of his body, and whispered, "I believe in you, Ethan. Do your best." "Okay." Ethan nodded, a confident smile spreading across his face. He put on the white shirt that Maya had carefully ironed, adjusted his tie, and picked up his old but clean briefcase. As he stepped out the door, Maya stood at the threshold, watching his figure disappear into the morning light. She smiled, her heart full of hope, unaware that this moment would mark the beginning of a storm about to hit, a storm that would change her life forever. If Maya's emotional journey has captured your curiosity, hit the subscribe button to avoid the dramatic events ahead. Follow along to see where fate takes her and whether love and hope are strong enough to overcome the harshest trials. In a small apartment tucked away on a bustling Brooklyn street, Maya Thompson, a Black American woman with warm eyes and a resilient smile, had spent 3 years of her life beside her white American husband, Ethan Carter. Their marriage wasn't a fairy tale with luxurious vacations or candlelit dinners. Instead, it was a journey full of trials, bills stacked up on the kitchen table, calls from the bank demanding payments, and long sleepless nights worrying about money had become an inseparable part of life. But with her big heart and fierce faith, Maya always held Ethan's hand tightly through those dark days. She believed their love, though tested by hardship, would one day lead them to a brighter future. Every morning, Maya woke up early, brewed coffee in an old kettle, and prepared a simple breakfast, usually toast and eggs for them. She would look at Ethan with his tousled blonde hair, ambitious blue eyes, and smile. "One day, you're going to make it big. I just know it," she would often say, her tone both encouraging and gentle. Ethan would take her hand and whisper promises that he would give her a better life, a place where she wouldn't have to worry about rent or buying groceries. Those moments, though small, were the sparks that warmed Maya's heart and kept her hope alive. But their life wasn't all sweet promises. There were days when Maya had to work night shifts at a convenience store, her legs aching after hours behind the counter. Ethan, an enthusiastic but unlucky salesman, often returned home with a disappointed face after getting rejected again. They had fought and cried, but after it all, they always found a way back to each other, holding one another in their tiny room, and reminding themselves that as long as they had love, they could get through anything. With her smooth brown skin and soft, bouncy curls, Maya was always Ethan's emotional anchor. She believed that one day fate would smile upon them. Then, on a fateful morning, a luxurious envelope was delivered to their apartment as the first sunlight slipped through the thin curtains. While cleaning the kitchen, Maya saw Ethan open the envelope with trembling hands. Inside was a letter from a major corporation in Manhattan, inviting Ethan to attend a prestigious business conference at the Plaza Hotel, an opportunity any entrepreneur would dream of. Ethan's blue eyes lit up as if the world had just opened before him. "Maya, this is it!" he exclaimed excitedly. "This is the chance we've been waiting for. If I do well, we won't have to worry anymore. A new house, a new car. Everything we ever dreamed of." Maya could feel the fire of ambition in Ethan's voice, and her heart fluttered excitedly. She ran to hug him, feeling the warmth of his body, and whispered, "I believe in you, Ethan. Do your very best. Okay?" Ethan nodded, a confident smile spreading across his face. He put on the white shirt Maya had carefully ironed, adjusted his tie, and grabbed his old but clean briefcase. As he stepped out the door, Maya stood in the doorway, watching his figure disappear into the early morning light. She smiled, her heart overflowing with hope, unaware that this moment would begin a storm about to arrive, forever turning her life upside down. If Maya's emotional journey has piqued your curiosity, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the dramatic twists ahead. Join us to see where fate takes her, and whether love and hope are strong enough to withstand life's harshest trials. The lobby of the Plaza Hotel shimmered with light from massive crystal chandeliers. But for Maya Thompson, the Black American woman standing frozen amidst the luxury, everything seemed to blur. Her heart pounded violently, as if trying to break through her chest, as her eyes locked onto Ethan Carter, the husband she had loved and sacrificed for over the past 3 years. With his blonde hair carefully styled and dressed in an expensive suit, Ethan looked like a different man, not the simple one who used to sit beside her in their tiny Brooklyn apartment. Beside him stood a young white American woman, her golden hair shining, and her tight-fitting dress flaunting perfect curves. She clung tightly to Ethan's arm, her smug smile declaring possession. Maya felt her breath catch, as if the air in the hotel lobby had suddenly thickened. She stepped forward, legs trembling, but determined, her worn t-shirt and messy curls starkly contrasting the lavish surroundings. All sounds the soft piano music. The murmurs and laughter of elegantly dressed guests seemed to fade away, leaving only her heart pounding. As she approached, Ethan turned, and for a brief moment, his blue eyes met Maya's deep brown ones. But there was no warmth, no trace of guilt in his gaze. Instead, Ethan frowned, as if her presence was an unwelcome inconvenience. "Ethan," Maya said, her voice trembling as she struggled to stay composed. "What's going on? Where have you been? I've called you so many times. You never answered." The conference. How did it go? She paused, her eyes drifting to the woman beside him, her heart sinking as she smirked with disdain. Before Ethan could speak, the woman cut in, her voice cold. I'm Claire, Ethan's new wife. He doesn't have time for someone like you anymore. The words, someone like you, were emphasized with scorn, stabbing straight into Maya's dignity. Maya felt the blood in her veins freeze. New wife. She repeated, her voice choked, as if the words were too foreign to comprehend. She looked at Ethan, searching his face for any sign that this was just a cruel joke. But Ethan stood there, eyes cold, lips pressed tight. She's right, Maya, he finally said, his voice flat and emotionless. I'm done with you. My life is different now. He paused, then continued reading from a script. I'll send money so you can take care of yourself. My lawyer will deliver the divorce papers. Don't make this complicated. Each word from Ethan was a hammer blow to Maya's heart. The floor beneath her felt crumbling, and the world she had built, the sacrifices, the long nights comforting each other, the dreams of a better future, shattered instantly. Ethan, she whispered, her voice barely audible. You don't love me anymore. Just because I'm not pretty enough. Because you're rich. She couldn't stop the tears streaming down her cheeks, but stood tall, refusing to let Claire or Ethan see her fall apart. Claire scoffed and stepped closer, her gaze sweeping over Maya with contempt. Look at you. Ethan needs a woman who matches his level now. Not this, she said, gesturing cruelly at Maya. Ethan said nothing, just turned his face away, pulled Claire closer, and kissed her on the lips right in front of Maya. That single act was the final blow, ripping Maya's heart. She stood there, breathing heavily, feeling like the entire world was mocking her. She wanted to scream, to run up and take her husband back, but her legs felt like they were made of stone. Suddenly, a warm voice called from behind. Maya, is that you? Maya turned around, her vision blurred by tears. A tall white man with brown hair and gentle blue eyes looked at her with surprise and warmth. She blinked, trying to recognize the face. James, she whispered, realizing it was her childhood friend, the boy who once played with her in the schoolyard of Brooklyn. But James was no longer the scrawny kid she remembered. He wore a sleek suit and carried the air of someone powerful. Oh my God, Maya, it's been so long, James said, his smile radiant, as if seeing her was the highlight of his day. James glanced at Ethan and Claire, his expression darkening as he grasped the situation. What's going on, Maya? He asked, his voice low and filled with genuine concern. Maya opened her mouth, but her throat tightened. No words came out. More tears flowed, but this time a faint glimmer of hope sparked inside her. James, her old friend, was here, and his eyes told her she was not alone. If this heartbreaking yet dramatic moment makes you wonder how Maya will confront such a betrayal, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you won't miss what happens next. Join us as we follow whether Maya will find the strength to rise above the pain and what role James will play in the journey ahead. The lobby of the Plaza Hotel still shimmered with luxurious light, but to Maya Thompson, everything around her had become a hazy mist. The Black American woman with tangled curls and tear-filled brown eyes stood there with a shattered heart, betrayed by Ethan Carter, the man she had devoted her youth to loving. Ethan, the white American man with blonde hair and now icy eyes, had just kissed Claire, the smug white American woman, right before her. That act wasn't just a declaration of finality. It was the last dagger ripping apart whatever was left of Maya's trust. Beside her, James, the childhood friend she had just reunited with, stood silently, his blue eyes filled with anger and sympathy. Maya took a deep breath, fighting back the tears threatening to spill. She looked at Ethan straight, trembling. But resolutely, "Ethan, why? For 3 years I stood by you when we had nothing. I worked night shifts. I sacrificed everything for our dream. And now you turn your back on me. Because I'm not pretty enough. Because you have money." Her words echoed through the lobby, drawing curious glances from nearby guests. But Ethan smirked and looked away, as if her pain wasn't worth his attention. With her golden hair and tight-fitting dress, Claire sneered and stepped toward Maya. "Oh, you poor thing," she said, her tone sweet, but laced with venom. "Ethan is a successful man now. He needs a woman who matches his level, not someone like you." The words "someone like you" were laced with scorn, as though Maya was something beneath notice undeserving. Claire turned to Ethan, stroking his arm, and added, "Isn't that right, darling?" Ethan nodded without saying a word, but that gesture alone was enough to squeeze the air from Maya's lungs. "That's enough," James suddenly said, his deep voice cutting through the tension with quiet authority. He stepped forward gently, touching Maya's shoulder, as if to lend her strength. "Maya doesn't have to listen to this kind of cruelty." He turned to Ethan, his gaze sharp. "Who do you think you are, Ethan? A successful man. I approved your contract, and let me tell you, if this is who you truly are, there's nothing about you worth admiring." Ethan's brows furrowed, and a flicker of unease crossed his face for the first time. Sensing the shift, Claire tugged at Ethan's arm, her voice shrill. "Let's go, baby. We don't need to waste time on them." But Ethan lingered, his eyes wavering between James and Maya. At last, he spoke, his voice cold, but tinged with hesitation. "Maya, don't come looking for me again. I've chosen a new life. You'll get money to take care of yourself. My lawyer will send over the divorce papers. Don't make this harder than it needs to be." He turned away, pulling Claire along with him, leaving Maya frozen in the lobby, feeling as if the world had crumbled beneath her feet. Maya clutched her chest, struggling to breathe, but each breath was laced with pain. Ethan's words, "I've chosen a new life," echoed in her mind, like a sentence that couldn't be appealed. She thought of all the nights they had held each other in their small Brooklyn apartment, the extra shifts she worked to cover bills, and the dreams they once painted together. All of it was now a memory, replaced by the glittering halls of the plaza and Claire's smug smile. She wanted to scream chase after Ethan and reclaim the years she had given, but her legs felt rooted, and her heart hurt too much. James remained by her side, gently taking her hand. "Maya," he said, his voice soft yet firm, "you don't need to stay here anymore. Let me take you out of here." Maya looked at him, her eyes blurred with tears. She nodded, unable to speak, and let James lead her out of the hotel lobby. As the revolving glass doors closed behind them, the sound of piano music and elegant laughter from the plaza faded into the distance. But the pain in Maya's chest remained sharp, like a wound that refused to heal. Maya sat in silence inside James's car, staring out the window as New York's city lights passed by in soft blurs. She hugged her arms, trying to find a reason not to break down. James glanced at her, his expression full of care. "You don't deserve this, Maya," he said. "Ethan doesn't deserve you. What he did says everything about him, not about you." Maya gave a faint smile, but inside, a question still lingered. Was she truly enough? Or had it all been just a dream that had crumbled? If this heartbreaking and dramatic moment makes you want to know how Maya will rise from this pain, don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you won't miss the next episode. Follow Maya's journey from heartbreak to healing, and discover James's role in helping her find light in the darkness. James's car glided smoothly through the bustling streets of Manhattan, the neon lights of New York reflecting off the windows. But to Maya Thompson, everything was just a blur of faint streaks. With disheveled curls and tear-filled brown eyes, the Black American woman sat silently in the passenger seat, hugging her arms as if trying to hold on to the last bit of strength she had left. Ethan Carter's cruel words. "I've chosen a new life," and the smug smile of Claire, his white mistress, still echoed in her mind like a sorrowful melody on repeat. The Plaza Hotel lobby, where she had just witnessed heartbreaking betrayal, was now behind her, but the pain inside Maya remained sharp like a wound that wouldn't stop bleeding. James, her recently reunited childhood friend, glanced at her from the driver's seat, his blue eyes filled with concern. He didn't push her to speak, didn't try to fill the silence with empty words. Instead, he gave her space to breathe, to confront the storm of emotions tearing through her heart. "Maya," he finally said, his voice deep and warm, "you don't have to be alone. If you want, you can stay at my place. It's big enough, and I have no one to explain to." He smiled softly, trying to ease the tension, but his gaze was solemn, as if to say he truly meant it. Maya turned to look at him, her vision blurred with tears. James, the white man, with brown hair and an air of power, was no longer the skinny boy who used to play with her in the schoolyard in Brooklyn. He was now a successful man dressed in a fine suit, confidence radiating from every move. But what touched Maya was the sincerity in his voice, as if time and distance had never separated them. "James," she whispered, voice choked, "I don't know what to do anymore. I don't have a home. I have nothing left." Ethan took everything. James gripped the steering wheel tightly, his jaw clenching at the mention of Ethan's name. He didn't take everything, Maya, he said firmly. He took what he never deserved. "You still have yourself, and that's the most important thing." His words pierced the fog in Maya's mind like a light beam, but she still felt hollow. She thought about the little apartment in Brooklyn now, just a painful memory, and wondered if she could ever start over. The car stopped in front of a stunning mansion in the Upper East Side, with towering white columns and lush gardens bathed in soft lighting. Maya's eyes widened in awe at the grandeur. "This is your house?" she asked, her voice full of surprise. James smiled, stepped out of the car, and opened her door. "One of them," he replied, his tone gentle, not boastful. As they stepped inside, Maya was even more stunned. Glittering chandeliers, polished ebony furniture, and the faint scent of essential oils made the place feel more like a palace than a home. James led her to the living room, where a fireplace crackled gently, offering warmth, contrasting the cold ache in Maya's chest. "Are you hungry?" he asked, motioning toward a table filled with fruit and pastries. Maya shook her head, her voice barely above a whisper. "I just want to do something to forget everything." She paused, then added, "Can I go into the kitchen? Cooking always calms me." James raised an eyebrow, but then nodded, his warm smile returning. "The kitchen is yours. Feel free." Maya felt a small sense of comfort in the modern kitchen, with gleaming marble counters and state-of-the-art appliances. She opened a cabinet, searched for ingredients, and accidentally discovered an old leather-bound book titled Herbal Wellness Secrets, embossed in golden ink. Curious, she flipped through its pages and found recipes for herbal teas, diet plans, and simple exercises for better health. A flicker of hope sparked within her. "What's this book?" she asked, turning to James, who stood at the kitchen door, watching her with gentle eyes. "That belonged to my mother," James said, as he walked closer. "She had health issues when I was a kid, but she turned her life around thanks to the methods in that book. If you'd like to try them, I'll help." Maya looked at the book, then back at James, feeling like a new door had just opened. She didn't know if she had the strength to walk through it, but James's presence, her old friend now a steady support, made her want to try. "Thank you, James," she said, her voice shaky but filled with determination. I think I want to start over. If this fateful moment, where Maya finds a spark of hope amid heartbreak, makes you curious about what's next in her journey, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the emotional chapters to come. Join us as we follow Maya's rebirth and see where that mysterious book will lead her. James's mansion in the Upper East Side, with its towering white columns and lush green gardens, was a world apart from the tiny apartment in Brooklyn that Maya Thompson once called home. With her voluminous curls and sorrow-tinged brown eyes, the Black American woman stood in the grand kitchen, holding the leather-bound book, Herbal Wellness Secrets. The book, filled with herbal tea recipes and dietary plans, felt like a whisper from fate, promising a chance to begin anew. Yet Maya's heart remained heavy, torn by memories of Ethan Carter's betrayal, her white American husband, who had abandoned her, and the smug smile of Claire, the white mistress, who had mocked her at the plaza. James, her childhood friend turned powerful businessman, and stood at the kitchen doorway, his gentle blue eyes observing Maya. He didn't pressure her or try to fill the silence with hollow consolation. Instead, he let her find her way to heal. "Make yourself at home in the kitchen," he said, his smile soft yet warm. "If you need anything, just call me." Maya nodded, feeling James's presence was a kind of anchor, a haven in the storm of emotions tearing through her. She opened the book, turned its pages, and began pulling ingredients from the cupboard: some ginger, a few mint leaves, and a pinch of dried herbs. Cooking even a simple cup of tea helped her momentarily forget Ethan's cruel words. "I've chosen a new life." Maya felt a hint of peace as the herbal scent wafted through the kitchen. She remembered her childhood in Brooklyn, when she and James would share her mother's cookies, laughing freely under the summer sun. Those distant memories brought a flicker of warmth to her chest, but then the image of Ethan kissing Claire invaded her thoughts again, and she clenched her fists, dropping a spoon to the floor. Hearing the noise, James stepped in. "Everything okay?" he asked, picking up the spoon and placing it in the sink. Maya sighed, her voice soft. "I don't know, James. I keep thinking about what Ethan and Claire said. They made me feel like I wasn't good enough, like I had no worth." She lowered her head, tears rolling down her cheeks. James sat beside her, his gaze serious. "Maya, listen to me," he said, his voice deep but steady. "Ethan and Claire don't get to define your worth. Their actions reflect who they are, not who you are. You gave Ethan everything, your love, your sacrifice, and he chose to walk away from the most valuable thing he had. That's his failure, not yours." James's words blew away some of the gloom clouding Maya's mind. She looked up at him and felt a flicker of genuine hope for the first time in days. "Do you think so?" she asked, her voice trembling. James smiled and nodded. "I know so, and I'll be here helping you find yourself again if you want me to." Maya nodded, wiping her tears, feeling as though a door had just opened within her. She turned back to the book, carefully reading a recipe for ginger lemon tea, noted as boosts energy and spirit. She decided to try it, not just for her health, but because she wanted to do something for herself. When the tea was ready, she poured a cup for James, and the two of them sat at the kitchen table sipping the warm brew. "Tastes good," James said, winking. "You still cook as well as you did back in the day." Maya gave a soft smile, her first in days, and a glimmer of light pierced through the darkness in that small moment. James led her upstairs to the guest room, where a fireplace crackled softly, and showed her a luxurious bedroom. "This will be your room for as long as you need it," he said. Maya looked around at the large bed draped in silk linens and the window overlooking the garden, overwhelmed with gratitude and awe. "James, I don't know how to thank you," she said, her voice catching. James waved a hand, smiling. Just be yourself, Maya. That's all I ask. After he left, Maya sat on the bed, clutching the Herbal Wellness Secrets book to her chest. She thought of the years gone by, broken dreams, and James's words, "You still have yourself." For the first time, she felt a small yet powerful determination not to prove anything to Ethan or Claire, but to reclaim Maya, the strong woman she used to be. She closed her eyes, took a deep breath, and readied herself for a new beginning. If this emotional moment, where Maya finds a spark of hope in the darkness, leaves you wondering what's next in her journey, hit the subscribe button so you don't miss the next powerful chapters. Follow us as we witness Maya turn her pain into strength and discover where the mysterious book will lead her. Morning sunlight filtered through the window of the luxurious guest room in James's Upper East Side mansion, casting a soft glow on Maya Thompson's face. The Black American woman, with her voluminous curls and brown eyes, now shimmering with a spark of resolve, had found a flicker of hope after days of drowning in heartbreak, betrayed by Ethan Carter, her white husband, and mocked by Claire, his white mistress. What reignited that hope was the leather-bound book, Herbal Wellness Secrets, she discovered in the kitchen. Filled with herbal tea recipes, dietary plans, and simple exercises, the book wasn't just a guide to better health. It felt like an invitation to redefine herself. Today, she was ready to begin, not to prove anything to Ethan or Claire, but to find her way back to the strong Maya she once was. Sitting on the bed, Maya flipped through the book, focusing on a recipe for ginger lemon and honey tea, marked to awaken energy and confidence. She remembered James's words, the childhood friend turned powerful businessman. You still have yourself, and that's what matters most. His calm and supportive presence had given her the strength to rise. She got up, slipped on a simple workout outfit James had left in the closet, and headed downstairs. The elegant kitchen, with its marble countertops and modern appliances, was now where her new journey would begin. Maya sliced ginger-squeezed lemon and boiled water each small motion, feeling like a step away from the shadows of her past. But it wasn't easy. As the tea's scent filled the room, memories surfaced: lavish dinners she once cooked for Ethan, the laughter they shared in their Brooklyn apartment. Pain surged again, and her hand clenched, accidentally spilling hot water onto the counter. She sighed, whispering, "No, I'm not doing this for him. I'm doing this for me." She wiped the spill, finished the tea, and took a sip, feeling a gentle warmth flow through her. James entered the kitchen, still in his tailored suit, his gentle blue eyes watching her. "You look different this morning," he said with a soft smile. Maya smiled back, a little shy. "I'm trying a recipe from your mother's book. It's harder than I expected." James sat down, accepted a cup of tea she offered, and took a sip. "It's delicious," he said with a wink. "But change is always hard, Maya. My mom took a whole year to master those recipes. She used to say it's not the tea that creates the magic. It's her determination." His words touched her deeply. Maya opened up about her lingering insecurity, about how Claire's words, "a woman like you," still haunted her. "I keep wondering, maybe I wasn't good enough," she admitted, trembling. James set his cup down, looking straight into her eyes. "Maya, you're the strongest woman I know. You survived everything with Ethan, gave him your all, and now you are willing to begin again. That's not a weakness, that's power." He paused, then added, "And if you'll let me, I'll help you every step of the way. Not just with tea, but with everything." Maya's heart warmed like a small flame had been lit inside her. She nodded, her eyes shining. "I want to try, James. Not just for my health. I want to feel confident again. I want to be me." James smiled, stood up, and pulled out a small notebook from the cupboard. "Good. Let's track the journey. One small step a day. Tea, clean eating, and light exercises. I'll be here cheering you on. The rest of the day, Maya and James worked together. She learned how to make light meals from the book, green salads, herb-roasted fish, and tried a basic yoga routine in the living room guided by James. She stumbled a few times, her body sore. But whenever she wanted to give up, James told funny stories from their childhood, like when they stole cookies and got caught by her mom. Her laughter rang out for the first time in weeks, and she realized that even though the pain was still there, she was moving forward. As the sun set, Maya stood before a mirror, looking at herself. She still saw the invisible scars left by Ethan and Claire's words, but she also saw a new light in her eyes. She picked up the book and whispered, "This is for me, Maya." With James's support and determination, she knew she was stepping into a journey that would transform her body and heal her heart. If this inspiring moment, where Maya finds the strength to change, makes you wonder where her journey will lead, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss what happens next. Let's discover together how Maya turns her resolve into reality and what challenges await her. Weeks passed in James's Upper East Side mansion, and each day felt like a challenging yet hopeful step on a long transformation journey for Maya Thompson. With her bouncy curls and determined brown eyes, the Black American woman had begun changing her life, thanks to the Herbal Wellness Secrets book and James's unwavering support. The early days were tough herbal teas with unfamiliar flavors, healthy meals that lacked the bold tastes she once loved, and yoga sessions that left her sore and breathless. But each small step, from morning ginger tea to sunset stretches, was a quiet declaration that she was reclaiming herself, not for Ethan Carter, her white ex-husband, who betrayed her, nor for Claire, the white mistress who mocked her, but for Maya. Each morning, Maya rose early and stood before the mirror in her luxurious guest suite, staring at her reflection. She still saw the invisible scars left by Ethan's words. "I've chosen a new life," and Claire's disdainful tone, "a woman like you." But she also saw subtle changes. Her rich brown skin seemed to glow more. Her eyes shimmered with a new light, and her clothes began to hang looser on her gradually leaner frame. She meticulously logged her progress in the notebook James had given her, how much water she drank, and how she felt after every workout. Her messy handwriting wasn't just a journal. It was proof of her perseverance. James, her childhood friend, turned powerful businessman, and was always there as a guide and a constant companion. He joined her in cooking sessions, experimenting with green salads and pumpkin soups from the book, and even clumsily attempted yoga, beside her, making them both laugh when he collapsed mid-pose. "I wasn't made for this," he groaned dramatically, though his blue eyes sparkled with joy at seeing Maya laugh. These small moments helped her forget the pain, replacing it with a growing sense of appreciation and safety. One afternoon, as they sat on the sofa with glasses of herbal lemonade, Maya opened up more than before. "James, have you ever felt not good enough?" she asked, her voice dropping. James looked at her with a serious expression. "Of course, Maya. Everyone told me I was too young and idealistic when I started my company, but I learned that no one else would if I didn't believe in myself." He paused, then added, "You're doing the right thing, Maya. I can see the change in you, not just here." He pointed to her body, "but here." He gently tapped his chest. James's words made Maya blush, a warmth spreading through her. She lowered her head, sipping her lemonade to hide her fluster. No one, not even Ethan, had ever made her feel so seen and valued. But she quickly pushed the thought aside, afraid her healing heart might break again. "Thank you, James," she said softly. "I don't know where I'd be without you." In the days that followed, Maya stuck to her routine. She woke at dawn, drank herbal tea, ate oatmeal with fruit, and practiced light strength training in the living room. She began to notice bigger changes. Her old jeans now hung loosely at the hips. She could jog around the garden without losing breath, and each time she looked in the mirror, she saw a stronger version of herself. But the most crucial change wasn't physical. It was the growing confidence within her, a flame that refused to be extinguished. One evening, James invited her to walk through the garden, where soft lights illuminated the paths. "How are you feeling, Maya?" he asked gently. She smiled for the first time, feeling a true sense of peace. "I feel alive, James, not just in my body, but also in my spirit. I don't think about Ethan as much anymore. I just want to become the best version of myself." James nodded, his eyes gleaming with pride. "That's the Maya I remember, the girl who never gave up." When they returned inside, Maya stood before the mirror again, holding her notebook. She wrote, "Day 30. I'm stronger than I thought. Thank you, James. Thank you, me." She closed her eyes and took a deep breath, knowing that this journey was only beginning. But for the first time, she was ready to face whatever came next. If this inspiring turning point in Maya's story made you wonder what she'll achieve next, don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you won't miss the next chapters. Join us as we follow M's rise. Will her transformation lead to new heights and unexpected discoveries? Stay tuned. The gala night at the Waldorf Astoria Hotel in Manhattan shimmered under the glow of crystal chandeliers, with smooth jazz melodies mingling with the laughter and conversation of business moguls, celebrities, and influential elites. Maya Thompson, the Black American woman, once broken by Ethan Carter's betrayal, now stood before the mirror in the guest suite of James's Upper East Side mansion, preparing for a defining moment. Maya had transformed after weeks of dedication to herbal teas, clean eating, and disciplined routines from the Herbal Wellness Secrets book. Her smooth brown skin glowed, her bouncy curls were perfectly styled, and her newly toned figure was embraced by a fitted black dress sparkling with delicate sequins. But what truly made her radiant was the depth in her brown eyes, no longer filled with pain, but with fierce confidence. James, her childhood friend and unwavering supporter, stood at the doorway, his blue eyes widening at the sight of her. "Maya," he said, his voice filled with awe, "you look stunning." Maya smiled shyly, a swell of pride rising in her chest. "Thank you, James," she replied gently, smoothing her dress. I'm not sure I'm ready. It's been so long since I've been in places like this." James stepped forward, resting a hand lightly on her shoulder. "You belong there, Maya. They won't be able to look away when they see you tonight. Trust me." As always, his words gave her the courage she needed. On the way to the Waldorf Astoria, Maya sat quietly in James's luxury car, clutching her small clutch tightly, her heart pounding with nerves. She thought of her old life in Brooklyn, how she once played the quiet, sacrificing wife to Ethan's grand ambitions. But now she was a new version of herself, physically stronger and mentally empowered. When the car pulled up to the hotel, James extended his hand and smiled. "Ready, star of the evening." Maya took a deep breath, nodded, and stepped out, head held high, ready to face the world. The gala lobby was dazzling, radiant gowns, sparkling champagne glasses, and lively chatter about business and art. When Maya entered, everything seemed to slow. Heads turned and admiring whispers echoed. "Who is she?" someone asked. "Breathtaking," another replied. Maya felt the power of confidence course through her. No longer was she the woman belittled by Ethan and Claire at the plaza. She smiled, shaking hands with those James introduced, conversing with such poise and charm that even seasoned executives took notice. Then, like a cruel twist of fate, she saw a familiar figure in the corner of the room. Ethan Carter, his blonde hair now disheveled, his expression tense, stood beside Claire, still clad in a form-fitting dress, but looking less radiant than before. They appeared to be arguing. Ethan's face filled with worry. As his eyes scanned the room and landed on Maya, he froze, his mouth slightly open in disbelief. "Maya," he murmured, stunned. Claire, noticing Ethan's stare, turned to look and frowned. "Who's that?" she asked sharply. Feeling their gaze, Maya stood taller, a proud smile forming. She stepped forward, each stride a silent declaration that she was no longer the woman they had discarded. "Hello, Ethan," she said, her voice calm but assertive. "It's been a while." Ethan blinked, scrambling for words. You look so different." Claire, irritated, cut in. "Different how? It's just an expensive dress." But her tone wavered, and her eyes betrayed a flicker of envy. James stood beside Maya, a soft smile on his lips, his blue eyes gleaming with pride. "Different because Maya is fully herself now," he said, his voice low but cutting. "And she's my fiancée." He lifted Maya's hand, revealing a dazzling diamond ring. Ethan paled, as if struck by a heavy blow. Claire stiffened, gripping Ethan's arm, but his gaze remained locked on Maya, full of regret and confusion. Maya smiled, not out of revenge, but because she knew she had risen above them, beyond the pain, into the most radiant version of herself. If this triumphant return of Maya thrilled you and left you wondering what comes next, hit that subscribe button so you won't miss a single dramatic twist. Join us as we follow where this confrontation leads, Maya and Ethan, and how James's role will shape her future. The grand ballroom of the Waldorf Astoria still sparkled with chandeliers and jazz music, but the air around Maya Thompson suddenly tightened like a string pulled taut, ready to snap. The Black American woman, radiant in her shimmering black gown and smooth brown skin, stood tall after confronting Ethan Carter, the white ex-husband who had betrayed her, and Claire, the white mistress who had once mocked her. James's declaration that Maya was his fiancée with a glittering diamond ring on her hand had left Ethan pale, his blue eyes wavering between shock and regret. Claire, her blonde hair slightly disheveled and her smile forced, clutched Ethan's hand tighter, failing to mask the jealousy that now etched itself across her face. Maya stared directly at Ethan, her deep brown eyes no longer trembling. "You see, Ethan," she said, her voice calm but razor sharp. "Life goes on, and I've found my path." Her words cut deep, not out of revenge, but to affirm that she was no longer the woman abandoned at the plaza. Ethan opened his mouth, but could only stammer, "Maya, I didn't expect you to." He trailed off, unable to meet the gaze of the radiant woman standing before him. Unable to bear Ethan's silence, Claire interjected shrill, "Don't flatter yourself, Maya. He's just surprised by your outer transformation. Ethan chose me, and he's not coming back to you." But her voice lacked conviction, and her eyes flicked bitterly toward the ring on Maya's finger. Standing beside Maya, James offered a faint smile, his blue eyes gleaming with confidence. "I don't think the question is who Ethan chose," he said, calm but commanding. "The truth is, he lost the most incredible woman he ever had. And now Maya is my future." James's words landed like a final blow. Ethan staggered slightly, his face ashen. But James wasn't finished. He turned to Ethan, his voice now cold. "By the way, Ethan, I reviewed the reports regarding the contract our company awarded you. The results were disappointing. From now on, you'll report directly to Maya. She'll oversee the entire process. Ethan froze, mouth agape, unable to speak. Claire panicked and tugged at his arm. What did you just say? Her. How can she possibly? But James cut her off, his gaze steely. Maya is the best person for the job. She's capable, and I trust her completely. Maya felt her heart pounding, not from fear, but from a newfound sense of power. She, the woman once belittled by Ethan and Claire, now held his professional fate in her hands. She looked at Ethan, her gaze no longer filled with pain, but unwavering resolve. I'll be fair, Ethan, she said, but I won't tolerate failure. Ethan swallowed hard regret flooding his eyes, but he merely nodded, unable to say a word. Claire, fuming, dragged him away, but even as they disappeared into the crowd, Ethan glanced back, his eyes clinging to the image of Maya, the woman he had lost. Once they were out of sight, James turned to Maya, his gaze softening. Are you okay? He asked gently. Maya smiled, a weight lifting from her chest. I'm okay, James. It's more than okay. Thank you for everything. James squeezed her hand lightly, the diamond ring catching the chandelier's glow. You did it, Maya. Tonight you proved that no one gets to define you but you. The two returned to the gala where Maya continued mingling with guests, her confidence glowing like a flame. She no longer thought about Ethan or Claire. Instead, she reflected on her journey from the heartbreak in Brooklyn through weeks of herbal teas and yoga to this moment where she stood among the powerful, not just as James's fiancée, but as a strong, independent woman. And no matter what the future held, she had reclaimed herself. Ethan stood in silence in a corner of the room, his eyes still locked on Maya. Regret gnawed at him, but he knew his chance was gone. Beside him, Claire whispered something in irritation, but he no longer heard her. He could only see Maya radiant, proud, and forever out of reach. If this powerful turning point in Maya's journey thrilled you and left you eager for what's next, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the dramatic developments ahead. Let's see how Maya wields her newfound power and what consequences await Ethan. In the days following the gala at the Waldorf Astoria, the life of Ethan Carter, the once arrogant white American man who had abandoned Maya Thompson, began to crumble like a sandcastle facing a crashing wave. The image of Maya, now radiant, proud, and empowered, and James's announcement that she was his fiancée and would oversee Ethan's contract, haunted Ethan like a recurring nightmare. His office, once a symbol of success with expensive paintings and a polished ebony desk, was now buried under chaotic files and non-stop calls from debt collectors. The multi-million-dollar deal he had once boasted about, approved by James, had become a sinking weight. Ethan sat behind his desk, his blonde hair disheveled, blue eyes dull from sleepless nights. He had squandered the contract funds, lavish parties, a vacation in the Maldives, extravagant gifts for Claire, the white mistress, for whom he had left Maya. His account was nearly drained, and investors refused to back him upon learning the project was behind schedule. But what terrified him most was Maya, the woman he once called not good enough, now held authority over his work. Reporting to her made his hands tremble, equal parts shame and regret. Claire, her blonde hair flawless, but her smile increasingly strained, walked into the office holding a cup of coffee, her tone sharp with irritation. Ethan, what are you going to do with this mess? She snapped, gesturing at the papers. I didn't leave everything behind to be with a loser. Ethan clenched his fists, his expression darkening. You think I wanted this? Claire, I did everything I could. But Maya, she's controlling everything now. She and James want me to fail? Claire scoffed, her tone dripping with contempt. Maya, she just got lucky with a diamond ring. If you can't even handle her, Don't expect me to stick around." Her words cut deep, and Ethan finally saw the bitter truth. Claire had never loved him. She was with him for the money, for the glow of wealth. Just as he had abandoned Maya for Claire, Claire was now ready to walk away the moment he lost his value. Claire packed her bags and threw the engagement ring on the table that night. "I'm done, Ethan," she said coldly. "I'm not staying with a failure." The door slammed shut, leaving Ethan alone in a now empty luxury apartment, hollow and cold. Meanwhile, at James's company, Maya sat behind a sleek desk in a modern office, her deep brown eyes scanning Ethan's project report. She had been working tirelessly, learning from James and his team to fulfill her supervisory role. The perseverance that had helped her through weeks of herbal teas and intense workouts now translated into sharp business acumen. As she had suspected, Ethan's report was a disaster: delays, budget overruns, and unclear expenses. She sighed, not with glee, but with a calm determination. Ethan entered her office, looking ragged, his eyes avoiding hers. "Maya," he said hoarsely, "I need more time. The project, it's more complicated than I expected." Maya looked at him, her voice calm but firm. "You've had more than enough time, Ethan. You were given every opportunity but chose to blow the money on meaningless things instead of doing the work. These are the consequences." Ethan lowered his head, his voice pleading. "Please, Maya, I know I messed up. Don't let James destroy me. I regret everything I did to you." Maya paused, her gaze resting on the man who had once meant everything to her, now just a hollow version of himself. Part of her wanted to forgive him, but she knew kindness couldn't replace accountability. "Ethan," she said softly, "when you left me, you never once thought about how I'd survive. I'm not doing this out of revenge. This is business. You have 2 weeks to fix it, or the company will demand a full refund." Ethan stood in stunned silence, his eyes damp, but all he could do was nod and walk away, shoulders heavy with the weight of his downfall. After he left, Maya sat quietly gazing out at the sparkling Manhattan skyline. She thought about her journey from heartbreak in Brooklyn through weeks of personal transformation to this moment of power. She was no longer a victim. She was shaping her destiny and Ethan's. James stepped in smiling. "You handled that perfectly, Maya," he said. She nodded, eyes shining. "Thank you, James. I'm learning to be stronger every day." If this dramatic turning point, where Maya takes the reins and Ethan falls, has you wondering what the outcome will be, hit that subscribe button so you won't miss the concluding chapter. Join us to see how Maya shapes her future and how Ethan must finally face the consequences. Morning sunlight streamed through the living room window of the Upper East Side mansion, where Maya Thompson, the radiant black woman with smooth brown skin and voluminous curls, stood before the mirror in a pristine white wedding dress. With its delicate lace details and flowing tulle, the gown hugged a body now toned and healthy, transformed by her commitment to herbal wellness secrets. Her deep brown eyes sparkled with joy, no longer shadowed by the pain once inflicted by Ethan Carter, the white husband who betrayed her, or Claire, the white mistress who mocked her. Today, Maya was entering a new chapter, marrying James, her childhood friend, and the man who helped her reclaim herself. Maya looked at her reflection and smiled, thinking of the long road she had traveled. From the dark days in her Brooklyn apartment, where she had sacrificed everything for Ethan, to the breaking point at the plaza, when he left her for Claire. She remembered those first weeks in James's mansion, battling grief and self-doubt, until the herbal guide and James's unwavering support ignited her resolve to change. She had pushed through grueling workouts, bland health meals, and nights of wondering if she was strong enough. Now, she wasn't just confident in her body, she was an accomplished manager in James's company, the woman who had held Ethan accountable for his downfall. After the confrontation at the Waldorf Astoria gala, Ethan could not salvage the contract. His final report, as Maya had predicted, was a complete disaster. James's company filed a lawsuit against him for breach of contract and financial misconduct. Within weeks, Ethan lost everything: his luxury condo car and reputation. Claire, who once swore to stay by his side, vanished when the money ran out, leaving him alone in a shabby rented apartment. One morning, Ethan appeared at Maya's office, his blue eyes hollow, his voice pleading. "Maya, please talk to James. Give me one more chance. I've lost everything. I know I was wrong to leave you." Maya looked at him, her gaze calm and unshaken. "Ethan," she said, "life is a series of choices. You made yours, and this is the result. I can't change that." Ethan bowed, tears spilling down his cheeks, but Maya didn't waver. She had learned that kindness did not mean surrendering justice. Later that day, as Maya descended the grand staircase in the mansion, James was waiting for her, his black tuxedo highlighting his elegance, his gentle blue eyes filled with awe. "You're the most beautiful bride I've ever seen," he said, taking her hand. Maya smiled, her heart full of peace. The ceremony was held in the garden, bathed in golden sunlight, surrounded by close friends and colleagues. Maya looked into James's eyes as they exchanged vows, and knew she had found not just love, but a true partner. "I promise to always stand by you, Maya," James said, his voice deep and warm. "And I promise to always be true to myself, James," she replied with conviction. As the reception began, Maya stood beside James, watching guests laugh and dance. She thought of Ethan, how she once believed losing him would destroy her. But now, she realized his betrayal had been the greatest gift. It forced her to rediscover herself, grow stronger, and led her to James. She sipped herbal lemonade, smiling, as she remembered the book that had changed her life. Maya was now a confident, independent, and fulfilled woman, not just because of love, but because she had conquered her fears. Maya and James danced their first waltz. As the sun set, their eyes locked in a quiet promise. She felt completely free, like every burden of her past had melted away. She hadn't just survived, she had risen, and the future was hers. "Thank you, James," she whispered, resting her head on his shoulder. "Thank you, Maya," he replied, "for showing me what true strength looks like." If Maya's triumphant and heartwarming journey moved you, and you want more inspiring stories, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss what's next. Join us as we explore more tales of strength, love, and emotional rebirth.